Welcome back, Campbell versus Gallo. I'm Sean Campbell. He's Simon Tsalikis in for Mitch Gallo. We're going to open up the phone lines in just a little bit for Habs Your Say. We'll get into the topic about some of the teams that are in the National Hockey League and who the Canadians could model themselves after. But I've been thinking about this. I've been trying to postpone it. I know this will be a hot topic throughout the summer, Simon. But on July 1st, 2025, Lane Hutson will be eligible for a contract extension. And he's coming off a year that he's likely going to win the Calder. Are you scared about how much money Lane Hutson could get on his next contract? Could it be hefty? Could it be the Canadians having to break the bank?
I think he'll be the highest paid player in Canadians history, skater. I don't think he eclipsed the Carey Price mark. I'm going to go.
Carey Price was the 10.5.
10.5. I'm going to give you a classic, easy for math for everybody.
Yeah.
$80 million. I got to go. Yeah, 8 years. You got to go $10 million a year. I can't see how it's not going to be that. Cap is going up too, right? So
yes.
Don't freak out over the number. It's percentage towards how much is your best player taking up against your cap. I don't know what that number is, 11, 12%, whatever that magical number is. That's what teams like to pay. Ovechkin got that. Crosby had got that in their first couple of deals. But I can't see a world where he's going to be making much less than.
So does he?
9 is a gimme.
Mm-hmm. 9's a gimme for you.
I think 9's a gimme.
Okay.
If look, we're going. All I have to go for is one NHL season.
That's it.
It's a Calder Trophy. Do I want to see one more season if I'm Ken Hughes? Before cutting the biggest check in Habs history? Maybe, but I got to think it's going to be north of $9 million.
Okay, a couple things here. One, I think for the Canadians, it's very easy. The Canadians want 8 years.
Mm-hmm.
They want to sign long-term as soon as possible. I believe the Canadians believe in him. They believe in the person, and they believe in the player that wants to work because he is a dedicated hockey player. I think that all fits with what Kent Hughes and Jeff Gorton have been building here. So 8 years is easy for the Canadians. But is 8 years the smart play here for Lane Hutson? We've seen some top-end players, and if you look at the Maple Leafs and an Austin Matthews, go down the 5-year route, then a 5-year deal. If you do 2 5s versus 1 8, you're going to make more money over those 2 5s.
Yep.
Because the landscape of the NHL will be different in 5 years. Just look at the Nick Suzuki contract right now. 2 years ago, people hated it. Right now, you're licking your chops. So, Canadians want 8 years. Doesn't mean Lane Hutson and his agent. And I have not heard anything that and if he takes 5 or however, I guess a somewhat of a bridge deal, it doesn't mean he doesn't want to be here long term. He's just trying to maximize his earning power.
This is his contract, and 2 things. One, I love what Austin Matthews has done with his deals. 5 years. 1, I don't know if I want to be here in 5 years. And 2, you don't know if you want me here in 5 years. So you can look at the Lane Hutson in both ways, right? You can look at Lane Hutson and say, oh, he doesn't want to be here longer. He only want, he wants to bail or he wants to sign a couple of contracts, which is his right.
That doesn't mean that's the case.
Yeah, it doesn't mean it's the case. But he's got a group of individuals in his ear telling him this is how we're going to maximize dollars and cents in your window of 10, 12 years to make money in this league. We're going to go down the free agency road several times, right? I bet you if you go back to Connor McDavid, he would have loved to have signed a 5-year deal back then, a 4-year deal. Let's do it again in 4 years. Where is the organization? Where am I in 4 years? I don't know. We'll see. The one comparable, Sean, Quinn Hughes signed a 6-year deal.
Yeah.
I don't know what it is. You're seeing it a little bit more with these American players. Matthews, Hughes taking those smaller deals.
So
I got my theories on that. My theory is that.
So you're thinking of this being an American player, he wouldn't.
No,
want
I'm thinking
8 years.
that their representatives work in big American agencies and have offices next to NBA agents.
Okay.
And they say 8 years, and they're like, "Why are you doing?" Yeah. Nobody does this in the NBA.
No.
4 or 5 years, free agency again. But
that's why I said for the Canadians, 8 years, it's a no-brainer.
Would be wonderful.
It's a no-brainer for someone like Lane Hutson. Can I? And you said you're starting at $10 million, right?
I think that's where it's going to go.
That's fine.
Yeah.
Is there any way, and this is really only on the Lane Hutson front, And it's probably unfair. You probably can't really ask it. It's more about how Lane Hutson. Because if you're the Canadians, you probably want to offer 8 years and keep it in the Nick Suzuki, Cole Caulfield range. And I'm with you. Contracts are signed differently through time. And with the expansion of the cap, it's percentage of cap. You can't look at it that way. But with what the Canadians are building, and it even goes back to the deal that Jake Evans took. Do you remember? You and I were on the air together.
2.85?
You and I were on the air together when I told you that number.
Mm-hmm.
And you were shocked. I was shocked.
Yeah.
We were all shocked. That is a player at a different talent scale and pay scale that looked at the Canadians saying, this is somewhere where I want to be. Gooley signed long-term. 5 and change. Slafkovsky signed long-term. Caulfield signed long-term. Suzuki signed long-term. And not at anything that's going to break the Canadians' back. Does Lane Hutson look at what some of the team has done and say, I can do that for this team because I love this group? And I'm not saying that the Canadians are going to ask for that. I'm just saying if the Canadians just offer 8 years, $8 million, does Lane Hutson go, you know what? I'm one of the guys. I'm going to accept it. Because I'm with you. $10 million is likely the number.
You won't.
But can you, as the Canadians, start there and just see what he says?
Yeah, for sure. I think 8 is a fair starting. I don't think it's insulting.
For the Canadians, could be like, hey, look, everybody
you're the
else
highest paid
gets
player
it.
on the team.
You're the
Right.
highest paid player,
Yeah.
and you're in the range of what everybody else gets paid.
I can see that.
I don't think you're insulting him.
No.
But you're also feeling him out to see how he feels about how he fits in the group. And I understand the agent's going to look, you're going to be the highest paid, but not for long because Demidov in 2 years, he might have 100 points and he's going to get $12 million.
Yep.
Who knows?
Yep.
So take it when you can get it, but at the same time, maybe he looks like he's just part of the group. And you can alienate yourself a little bit. I know players don't do it, but it does happen. If he goes for $14 million and everybody else is making $7 million. When you're in the team group.
Yes.
Like, how much does that play? 0 or just a little bit? Does it play a little bit? That's all I'm asking.
I'm going to say it plays 0.
It plays 0?
I know nothing about this.
Okay.
Neither
do I. I've never been in these negotiations.
I know what I see on television when we're watching sports and they're talking sports. And the one theme that I've seen is it looks like players don't talk about what other guys are going to go and make.
Yeah.
This is your bag. This has nothing to do with me. Nick Suzuki doesn't have an opinion on go get your bag.
Yeah.
There'll be a time when it's time for me to get my bag. And I remember one, Sean, happened like 20 years ago. Jamarcus Russell was the quarterback drafted by the Raiders. Turned out to be, an NFL bust. And during his negotiations, he didn't come to camp. And they asked old school, hardcore NFLer Warren Sapp about it.
Yeah.
And I'm like, oh, Warren's going to tee off on this young buck. Shame on you for not being at camp, being a millionaire, being in the NFL is a privilege. His answer was, no, man, that's his money, his family. He wants to take care of his legacy forever.
The player answer.
But I believe that's the case. Like, I don't think, as a player, for me, I don't think I'm going to jump into somebody else's negotiations. You handle your negotiations the way you want. You take care of your family for decades, generations. That's up to you to decide. So I don't think that weighs in. I think these guys are into making their own money, and I think they all get that once they sit down with their general manager.
And it also flashes back to the Rantanen deal with Colorado, and Nathan McKinnon was being interviewed and asked, Rantanen, he wanted more money than you, rumored before he signed his contract that he did with Dallas. And Nathan McKinnon, shut it down right away. He's like, dude, Cale Makar's up in 2 years. He's going to get $20 million.
Yeah.
No, he said Cale, he pretty much said, when Cale Makar comes up, he's going to get more money than anybody else.
Yeah.
So, that's...
I don't know enough. But it just seems to me, I get the impression when it comes to pro sports, somebody's in a negotiation. Like, Sean, have we ever heard of a guy holding out and his players taking him to task publicly?
Yeah.
Oh, when a player's not there, He's handling his business. I do believe Lane Hutson I think he wants to be here long term. That's the impression I get, the vibe you get from this team, the way that this front office manages things, the way they got these guys signed, their 3 young players signed. It seems like that'll be the trend going forward. But now it'll be up to Lane Hutson, his representatives, if they want to go down the Quinn Hughes, Austin Matthews, 5-6 years road. It's a very good road to go down. We'll see. But I got to think the number starts with a 9. And don't forget, there's a bigger jump now than ever, right?
Yeah,
the cap is going up this year and next year substantially. Whereas we would think, back in the day, the big difference between 8 and 8.5 wasn't a big deal. Now the big deal is not between 8 and 8.5. 8 to 9 that 9 is pretty much today's 8.
Yes, absolutely.